My mom told me the house would be mine. She didn't say it once. She said it many times, over many years. Don't worry about the future, she told me. This house is yours. I believed her. She was my mother. I had no reason not to. Because of that promise, I made choices I wouldn't have made otherwise. I stayed close. I helped when she asked. I sent money when she said she was short. Whenever I hesitated, she reminded me, "Why are you worried? It's all going to be yours anyway." I never asked for papers. I never asked to see a will. I trusted her words. I have a half-sister. She is my mom's favorite. Everyone knows it, even if no one says it out loud. She lives far away. She visits once or twice a year. When she comes, my mom treats her like a guest. When she leaves, nothing is expected from her. She doesn't help with money. She doesn't deal with problems. She doesn't stay when things get hard. That was my role. I was the one who answered the phone, the one who helped when bills were due, the one who listened when my mom complained about stress. Whenever I asked why my sister didn't help, my mom had excuses. She has her own life. She's sensitive. She needs support. And then she would say, "You're different. You're stronger." Property taxes came up often. My mom complained about them every year. "They keep going up," she said. "I don't know how much longer I can manage." So I helped. Not because my name was on the house. It wasn't. I helped because I believed the house would be mine one day. "It's not a waste," my mom said when I looked unsure. "This is your house too." That sentence mattered to me. The last time we talked about the house, she sounded annoyed. She mentioned the next property tax bill and asked if I could help again. I asked carefully, "Are you sure everything is set for the future?" She waved her hand. "Yes. Stop worrying. The house is yours." I didn't know that by then she had already signed it away. I didn't know she had secretly transferred the house to my half-sister months earlier. And I definitely didn't know that soon they would still expect me to pay property taxes on a house that was no longer meant for me. I didn't need anyone to tell me my half-sister was my mom's favorite. I saw it in the small things. When she visited, my mom cleaned the house days in advance. She cooked real meals instead of frozen food. She asked about her feelings, her stress, her plans. When I came home from work tired and quiet, my mom barely noticed. My sister lived in another state. She had her own life, her own apartment, her own problems. But none of those problems ever landed on my mom's shoulders. Mine did. If the washing machine broke, my mom called me. If the roof leaked, she called me. If she was short on money, she didn't hesitate to ask me. But if my sister needed help, my mom didn't ask anyone. She just gave it. Money, time, emotional support. No questions. My sister didn't hide it either. She talked about the house like it already belonged to her, casually, confidently. One time, during a holiday visit, she walked through the living room and said, "This place would look so good if the walls were lighter." My mom laughed. "You could change it however you want one day." I noticed she didn't say if. I stayed quiet. Later, I asked my mom about it. She rolled her eyes. She didn't mean anything by it. Then she added quickly, "You know the house is yours." That sentence was always her reset button. Whenever something felt wrong, she said it again, like it erased everything else. The difference between us became clearer over time. My sister never helped with property taxes, never paid insurance, never offered to cover repairs. When bills came in, my mom showed them to me, not her. "She wouldn't understand this stuff," my mom said. "You're better with money." That wasn't true. I was just more willing to take responsibility. And every time I did, my mom praised me. "You're such a good daughter. I don't know what I'd do without you." It felt good to hear that. I won't lie. I didn't realize that being good was slowly turning into being used. The first time I felt something was seriously wrong was when my sister missed a visit. My mom was upset all week. "She's so busy," my mom said sadly. "She works so hard." That same week, I told my mom I might need help covering a personal expense. She sighed. "You need to be more responsible," she said. "I can't keep saving you." I stared at her. Saving me? I was the one paying property taxes. I was the one sending money. I was the one staying close. But somehow, I was the irresponsible one. Over time, my sister became untouchable. If I complained about fairness, my mom shut it down. If I mentioned money, she got defensive. If I asked why everything fell on me, she said I was causing drama. "Why can't you just be supportive?" she asked once. "Why are you always keeping score?" I wasn't keeping score. I was trying to understand the rules of a game I didn't realize I was losing. The house stayed at the center of everything. Whenever I pulled back, my mom reminded me, "This house will be yours. You're not wasting anything." That promise kept me in place. It kept me quiet when I should have spoken up. It kept me helpful when I should have said no. Meanwhile, my sister stayed distant and comfortable. She never had to earn the house. She never had to sacrifice for it. She was just loved. The last conversation before everything changed happened on the phone. My mom was stressed about money again. "The property tax bill came early this year," she said. "It's higher." I asked carefully, "Why don't you ask her to help this time?" There was a pause. Then my mom said, sharp and annoyed, "Why are you bringing her into this?" That was my answer. A few weeks later, I accidentally learned the truth. Not from my mom, not from my sister, from paperwork I was never meant to see. And in that moment, everything finally made sense. I didn't find out the truth because my mom decided to be honest. I found out by accident. One afternoon, I stopped by the house to drop off some paperwork my mom had asked me to print for her. She wasn't home yet. That wasn't unusual. She often asked me to handle things for her because, as she liked to say, "You're better at this stuff." The mail was sitting on the table. Most of it was junk. A few bills. Then one envelope caught my eye. It wasn't addressed to my mom. It was addressed to my half-sister, at my mom's house. That alone felt strange. I didn't open it. I just stared at it for a long moment, trying to tell myself it meant nothing. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe my sister had changed her mailing address. But something about it didn't sit right with me, so I did what I'd never done before. I checked the public property records online. I wasn't suspicious, not yet. I just wanted reassurance. It took less than 2 minutes. That was all it took to change everything. The owner's name on the house was no longer my mother's. It was my half-sister's. Fully transferred, signed, recorded. Months ago. I stared at the screen, waiting for my brain to catch up. I refreshed the page. Checked the address again. Checked the date. There was no mistake. The house had been legally transferred to my half-sister months earlier, while my mom was still telling me, "Don't worry, it'll be yours." While she was still asking me to help with property taxes, while she was still letting me believe the promise mattered, my hands started shaking. Not because of the house, because of the lying. When my mom got home, I was sitting at the table, laptop still open. She knew immediately something was wrong. "What's with that face?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I turned the screen toward her. "I looked up the house," I said. My voice sounded calm, even though my chest felt tight. "Why is it in her name?" The silence that followed was heavy. Too heavy. She didn't act confused. She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't deny it. She sighed. "You weren't supposed to find out like this," she said. That sentence hurt more than anything else. Not, "It's not true." Not, "There's been a mistake." Just, "You found out too soon." She sat down slowly, like she was tired of explaining herself. "I transferred it to her a while ago," she said. "It just made more sense." "More sense," I repeated. "She needs security," my mom replied. "You're independent. You'll be fine." I felt something drop inside me. All those years of helping, all those conversations about the future, all those times she told me the house was mine, gone. Just like that. "So when were you planning to tell me?" I asked. She avoided my eyes. "I didn't think it mattered," she said. "Nothing really changes. Nothing changes. Except everything." I stood up. "You told me this house would be mine," I said. "You said it over and over." "I didn't lie," she snapped. "Things change. Things change." But she didn't change how she treated me. Because a few days later, she called me about the property taxes. "They're due soon," she said. We need to figure that out. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unreal. Why would I pay property taxes? I asked slowly. On a house that isn't mine? There was a pause. Then her voice hardened. Well, it's still the family house, she said. And you've always helped. That's when I understood. They didn't want me as the owner. They wanted me as the payer. My half-sister finally called me that night. She didn't sound embarrassed. She didn't sound apologetic. She sounded annoyed. I heard you're upset, she said. Upset. As if I was reacting to a bad mood, not a betrayal. You knew? I asked. Of course I knew, she said. Mom gave it to me months ago. And you were still okay with me paying taxes? I asked. She hesitated, then said, Well, that's just how things have always worked, right? That was the moment it fully hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't poor communication. This was a plan, and I was never meant to benefit from it. After I found out the truth, I didn't explode. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of them. I did something worse. I asked questions. That seemed to irritate my mom more than anger ever could. A few days after the discovery, she asked me to come over so we could talk calmly, like adults. My half-sister was already there when I arrived, sitting on the couch like she belonged there. Like nothing had changed. My mom didn't waste time. I don't want this to turn into a fight, she said. I just want you to understand. Understand. That word always meant accept. Explain it to me then, I said. Why did you promise me the house if you were going to give it to her? My mom folded her arms. I didn't promise it the way you're making it sound. That's when I realized she was rewriting history. You told me for years it would be mine, I said. You said it again a few months ago. She shook her head. I said someday. Not now. Not officially. My half-sister jumped in. You're acting like Mom stole something from you, she said. It was never yours. That sentence landed hard. Not because it surprised me, because it confirmed everything. My mom leaned forward. She needs the house more than you, she said. She doesn't have your stability. I stared at her. My stability? I asked. You mean the stability I built while helping you? My mom sighed like I was exhausting her. You always land on your feet, she said. She doesn't. That was her justification. Not fairness, not honesty. Need. And apparently, my strength disqualified me from being treated fairly. Then came the part that truly broke something in me. We still need help with the property taxes, my mom said carefully. Nothing about that has changed. I laughed again. I couldn't help it. You transferred the house to her, I said. Why would I pay taxes? My mom frowned. Because you've always helped, she replied. And it's still the family house. Family house. Owned by my half-sister. Paid for by me. My half-sister crossed her arms. It's not a big deal, she said. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I turned to her. You own the house, I said. You pay the taxes. She looked uncomfortable. Well, I wasn't planning for that right now, she admitted. Mom said you'd probably still help. There it was. They didn't just expect me to accept the betrayal. They had already planned around my compliance. I stood up. So let me get this straight, I said. You promised me the house. You secretly transferred it to her. And now you both expect me to keep paying for it. My mom's voice sharpened. Why are you being so selfish? Selfish. After everything I'd given. You're acting like this is some business deal, she continued. This is family. That word again. Family. The word they used whenever they wanted something from me. I took a deep breath. If it's family, I said, why wasn't I told the truth? No one answered. My mom finally spoke. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this, she said. Like this. By asking questions. By setting boundaries. By not quietly absorbing the damage. My half-sister rolled her eyes. You're just mad you didn't get what you wanted, she said. I looked at her and realized something important. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't guilty. She felt entitled. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I stopped explaining. I stopped defending myself. I saw the situation clearly for the first time. They didn't see me as a daughter or a sister. They saw me as the backup plan, the one who stayed, the one who paid, the one who would complain, but still comply. My mom looked at me, waiting for me to soften. "So," she said, "we need to know if you're still going to help with the taxes this year." I looked at both of them, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I felt done. I didn't announce my decision. I didn't give a speech. I didn't threaten anyone. I just stopped. After that conversation, I went home and sat alone for a long time. I replayed every moment in my head. Every time my mom promised me the house. Every time I helped because I believed her. Every excuse I made for both of them. And for the first time, I asked myself a simple question. What exactly am I getting out of this? The answer was uncomfortable. Nothing. No house, no security, no honesty. Just responsibility without ownership. So I made a decision that felt small, but wasn't. I stopped paying. The first bill I didn't cover was the property tax reminder. Normally, when my mom mentioned it, I transferred money the same day. This time, I read the message and didn't reply. An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, my phone rang. "Did you see my text?" My mom asked, already irritated. "Yes," I said. "And?" she pressed. "I'm not paying it," I replied. There was silence on the line. "What do you mean you're not paying?" she asked. "I mean it's not my house," I said. "I'm not responsible for it." Her voice changed immediately. "So you're really doing this?" she said. "You're punishing us." Punishing. That word again. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was just refusing to keep paying for something I didn't own. A few days later, my half-sister texted me. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't apologize. She went straight to the point. "Mom says you're refusing to help," she wrote. "Yes," I replied. "Why are you being like this?" she asked. "You know Mom can't handle everything alone." I stared at the screen. Then I typed slowly, "You own the house. You handle it." She didn't respond for a while. When she finally did, it was short. "This isn't how family treats each other." I almost laughed. That was when the guilt tactics started. My mom called me every day. She told me she couldn't sleep. She told me she was stressed. She told me I was breaking her heart. "You've changed," she said one night. "You're cold now." I wanted to tell her the truth. I wasn't cold, I was clear. For years, I confused guilt with love. I thought feeling bad meant I was doing the right thing. Now I understood something different. If saying no makes you the villain, it's because someone was benefiting from you never saying it before. The pressure increased. Relatives started calling. Friends of the family hinted that I was being unfair. Everyone knew the story, the version my mom told. "She's refusing to help us. She's holding a grudge. She's tearing the family apart over a house." No one mentioned that the house had been secretly transferred. No one mentioned that I was still expected to pay. I stopped explaining. If someone asked directly, I told them the truth. Calmly, clearly. "The house is in my sister's name," I said. "I don't pay taxes on property I don't own." Some people went quiet after that. Others changed the subject. The hardest part wasn't the anger. It was the habit. I was used to fixing things. Used to stepping in before problems became real. Every time my phone buzzed, my body reacted before my mind did. But I didn't move. I let things sit. I let deadlines approach. I let consequences exist. And slowly, something surprising happened. The panic wasn't mine anymore. One evening, my mom called me crying. "They're sending notices," she said. "This is serious." I listened. Then I said, "You should talk to her." "She doesn't have the money," my mom snapped. "That's not my problem," I replied. Saying that out loud felt strange. Then it felt honest. That was the moment I stopped being their backup plan. Not because I hated them, not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally understood this truth. If I kept paying, nothing would ever change. And if I stopped, at least the damage would no longer be mine. Things didn't fall apart all at once. They cracked slowly. At first, my mom tried to act like everything was under control. She stopped calling as often. When she did call, she avoided talking about money, like pretending the problem didn't exist would make it go away. But problems don't disappear just because no one is paying them. The property tax deadline passed. Then came the late notices. Then the penalties. That's when the tone changed. My half-sister called me late one night. She sounded stressed for the first time since all this started. "Do you know how much this is?" she asked. "They're adding fees." "Yes," I said. "That's what happens when taxes aren't paid." She sighed loudly. "This is ridiculous. Mom said you handled this stuff." "That was before," I replied. "Before I knew the truth. Before I stopped agreeing to be used." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I didn't ask for this house." That sentence annoyed me more than anything else she'd said. "You accepted it," I replied. "And you kept it a secret." "That wasn't my decision," she said. "Mom handled everything." That was always her excuse. Someone else's decision. Someone else's responsibility. The notices kept coming. My mom stopped sleeping well. She started calling relatives, asking for small loans. Some helped. Others didn't. People started asking questions. Why is she struggling so much? Didn't she give the house to your sister? Why isn't your sister paying for it? For the first time, my mom didn't control the story. She tried to fix that. She told people I had promised to help and backed out. She said I was being bitter. She said I was trying to punish her. But now, the facts were easy to check. The house wasn't in my name. The taxes weren't my responsibility. Some relatives quietly stopped calling me. Others called to apologize. "I didn't know," one aunt admitted. "That's not right." It felt strange hearing that after years of being told I was the problem. My half-sister tried another approach. She suggested we split the taxes. "Just until things settle," she said. I didn't hesitate. "No," I replied. "Why are you being so hard about this?" she asked. "Because if I gave in even once, nothing would ever change. Because it's your house," I said, "and I'm done paying for decisions I didn't make." She hung up on me. That's when my mom lost her patience. She came to my place unannounced one afternoon. She looked tired, older, smaller. "You've made your point," she said as soon as she walked in. "Enough is enough." "I didn't make a point," I replied. "I set a boundary." She shook her head. "You're tearing this family apart over money," she said. I looked at her. "You tore it apart when you lied," I said. "I just stopped fixing it for you." Her face tightened. "I did what I thought was best," she said. "You didn't need the house." That sentence confirmed everything. It was never about need, it was about control. The real panic started when my sister realized ownership came with responsibility. Insurance, taxes, maintenance. Things she'd never dealt with before. She wasn't prepared. Neither of them were. Because for years I was the solution. I was the buffer. The safety net. The person who made consequences disappear. Now I was gone. The calls became desperate. My mom cried. My sister argued. Relatives offered opinions. I stayed calm. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just stayed out of it. That was the hardest part, watching them struggle and not stepping in. But every time I felt tempted, I reminded myself of something important. They weren't suffering because I said no. They were facing the reality they created. One evening, my mom sent me a final message. "You've changed. I don't recognize you anymore." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, "I recognize myself for the first time." And for once, I meant it. The house didn't collapse. No one was evicted. No dramatic ending played out the way movies like to show. What fell apart was quieter than that. It was the image my mom had built of herself. The fair parent, the victim, the one who did her best. Without me paying in the background, things became visible. The late notices didn't disappear. The stress didn't magically resolve itself. My half-sister didn't suddenly become responsible. Reality stayed. A few months after I stopped paying, my mom asked to meet. Just the two of us. We sat at a small cafe near her house. She looked tired. Older than I remembered. Not fragile, just worn down. "I never meant to hurt you," she said. I nodded. I believed she meant that. "But intention doesn't erase damage." "You still did," I replied. She sighed. "I thought you'd understand," she said. I thought you'd always be there. That sentence explained everything. She didn't see my help as something to be appreciated. She saw it as something guaranteed. I wasn't a daughter first. I was a solution. She tried one last time. Your sister is struggling, she said quietly. This has been hard on her. I looked at my mom. And whose responsibility is that? I asked. She didn't answer, because for the first time, the answer wasn't me. My half-sister and I don't talk anymore. Not because we fought, not because I yelled or blamed her. We simply stopped pretending we were close. She owns the house now. She deals with what comes with it. I don't check, I don't ask. It's not my burden anymore. Family gatherings changed. Some people treat me differently. Some avoid the topic altogether. A few quietly told me they admired what I did. I didn't do it for admiration. I did it because I couldn't keep paying for a lie. Sometimes I still think about the promise. Not the house itself, the trust behind it. I believed my mom's words because I wanted to believe her. Because admitting the truth earlier would have meant accepting that I was never going to be chosen the way I hoped. That realization hurt more than losing the house ever could. I didn't win. There was no prize, no moment where everyone clapped and admitted I was right. What I gained was quieter than that. I gained sleep. I gained peace. I gained the ability to say no without shaking. The house was never the inheritance. The inheritance was clarity. The understanding that love should not require silence, that help should not come with deception, that family does not mean unlimited access to your life. My mom promised me a house. What she gave me instead was the truth about who I was in that family, and once I saw it clearly, I walked away without asking for anything back.